Italian green beans and potatoes in fresh tomatoes is what I'll be cooking today, and I'm complementing the green beans which Julia has just picked from the garden with some green beans which we have purchased from the supermarket. The idea being that even a small handful of something which you grow at home, complemented with some supermarket products, is still nice, because it's the satisfaction element that you still have in dinner with something which comes from the garden. So I've got 550 grams combined, and I will be combining it with potatoes, 550 grams equal weight, and also the other ingredient, key ingredient is going to be the tomatoes. The red ones are plum tomatoes, supermarket sourced, whereas the little green ones, again, they're from our greenhouse, so I thought I'll add them in to complement the flavour. I'll just go and wash everything and I'll be right back. This is one of those dishes that appears throughout many southern Italian families in the summer. The potatoes are very inexpensive, the tomatoes are really sweet, basil grows like there is no tomorrow, and the beans obviously are also very affordable, and there is an abundance of this sort of ingredients, which is what I like, because actually, ironically, in many southern Italian places, they tend to still stick to tradition where they only cook what the land provides at certain times of the year. And it is actually something to be said about that, because that reflects the genuine ways of eating in Mediterranean countries. Clearly, with supermarkets, we've got accessibility to those ingredients throughout the year, and of course you can also use frozen green beans if you wish. But it is nice to be able to use what the land provides. And this is one of those comforting meals that it is very simple to make, despite the number of ingredients, and very healthy and very delicious, trust me. You will find out if you make it. If you're using a supermarket frozen green beans, this is a very unlikely step that you have to take, as they are normally already trimmed. But as I'm using fresh green beans, both from our garden and from the supermarket, I need to remove the two ends, and I'll show you if I see one which here, this one here, you can see that there is still the little stem attached, and obviously that would be very unpleasant. So just remove the two ends, and this is trimmed. Sometimes, by the way, as a tip, depending on the type of beans you're using, you might find that there is a little string that runs from the top to the end, which can be also unpleasant. Not in my case, because it's really tender. You can see what I'm referring to. Hopefully the camera will be able to zoom. This can be quite thick in certain species, in which case, if that is the case, I would suggest that also you remove it, because again, it can be very unpleasant. Anyway, I just finished the last batch, and these are done. I've given the potato a good scrub, and I'm actually keeping the skin, as it is really good, and I will add flavour. But if they're small ones, I'm actually halving them, whereas the big ones, I'm cutting them into four, so that I will end up with potatoes which are broadly all the same size, and they cook at the same time. But of course, feel free to peel them if you so wish. Personal choices, as always. And here are my tomatoes, and I'm doing something slightly different. Every other one, I'm cutting it in half, the other one I will just score it with the knife, and I'll give it a gentle squash using my finger and leave it whole. And that will provide me abundance of juice as they cook, but also different texture as I eat them. So you can do them all chopped if you wish, but that is a little tip which I've learned from my mum. Whereas the ones which come from our garden, only a small handful, I just leave them whole. This is a mild chili pepper. Actually, I keep them in the freezer, and when I need them, I just defrost them, and this is actually still partially frozen. It's mild, so I'm happy that I can use all of it, and I'll chop in little circles like this, and I'm going to leave the seeds as well. But you can substitute chili pepper with chili flakes. As I always say, don't be careful, because chili flakes can be quite hot, so unless you like really hot food. And my last ingredient in terms of preparation is garlic. I've got here a small head of garlic. Again, this comes from our vegetable patch, and Julie's homegrown. I'm going to chop it and then give it a gentle crush like this, and I'll leave the skin on as it will release some flavor, but you can also use 3 large cloves of garlic or a small one like this if you want to use the whole head. Actually, I've decided to remove the skin because I just realized that it's a little bit tough. I find that whenever I cook anything like this, I'll do all of my prep in advance and then I can start cooking. And it becomes a joy really, because you are organized, you know where you are, and there is no rush, everything done calmly. So I'll got some water which is boiling. I'm going to add a good pinch of salt, and the first thing I want to do is to start blanching and cooking my green beans. So in they go. And the reason why I mentioned blanch, by the way, is because I'm not going to cook them all the way, only about 5 minutes until they begin to soften. And using a slaughter spoon, I'm now removing them from the water. And using the same cooking water, I'm going to add my potatoes next. And again, just like the green beans, I'm not going to cook them all the way, approximately 6 to 7 minutes. I want them to be partly cooked. Meanwhile, in a wider pan, I'm going to add a little olive oil, followed by my crushed garlic and also my chili pepper. I'm keeping the temperature on a medium heat to ensure that neither the garlic or the chili pepper burns, and I can add my chopped tomatoes or whole tomatoes almost immediately. Followed by a little pinch of salt. This is obviously complementary to what I've added in the water, as the purpose there is for the salt to penetrate the French beans and also the potatoes. Here is obviously for flavor, and some pepper. French beans, green beans, or fagiolini if you are in Italy. The same thing, different name depending on where you are in the world. And I will leave this to cook on a moderate heat until I can press on one of the tomatoes without applying too much pressure, and they will release some of the juices. I've just turned the potatoes off, and you will find that actually if you follow the same timing that I've used, they should be pretty much ready. You can see that I'm gently touching them and they are releasing the beautiful juice at the same time as when the potatoes are ready. So next job is to move my potatoes over here. So in they go. You can see that they are partly cooked, but not all the way. Depending on the type of potatoes you use, you might find that they might be a little bit fluffier or not. These are a little bit fluffier than normal as they come from our garden. By the way, you can see that as soon as I added the potatoes, the bottom of my pan, which had this little crust developing, is totally clean. So do not panic, that is perfectly normal, and effectively all of that flavor is now being released with the potatoes and the tomatoes. So I'm going to add 150 grams of my water that I use to cook potatoes and greens, immediately followed by my greens. I've got a good handful of fresh basil. I'm going to add most of it, but I will reserve some for later. And by the way, do not discard of the water yet, just in case you need it later. So this is almost ready in terms of finished cooking. So I'm making sure that I mix everything together, and I'm keeping again the temperature on a medium to high, just above medium I should say, not high, just above medium. So I'll mix this together, and this is perfect. The smell coming up as soon as I put the basil in is remarkable. Where is my lid? Over here. I'll place the lid on so that everything cooks together and it infuses the potatoes and the beans. And I will leave it to cook until everything is cooked. In my case, it's likely to take approximately 15 to 20 minutes. But you will have to taste the potatoes and the beans to ensure that they are cooked. So I'll see you then. Old school, that is always the best way to check if food is cooked. Either you taste it or go in with a fork and stab a potato. That's perfect. And I'm sure this will be perfect. So, yep, it's done. So I'll turn this off. And I'm now moving on to the final touches. So a little drizzle of olive oil now that everything is cooked, complemented by some more fresh basil, which I'm going to break in. And as I often say, this renews flavors. I'll give everything a quick mix. By the way, if you want your sauce to be a little bit thicker, you can remove the lid for the last 5 minutes, and some of the water will evaporate. But you will find that and it will thicken up regardless because of the potatoes. I'm going to place the lid back on, leave it for 2 minutes to do its magic. Oh, smell, so good. And like I do with many dishes like this, whenever I make them, I will actually make more than what I need, and then I leave it to cool down and freeze it. I can freeze it in batches or freeze it all together depending on what my plans are. And I find that actually if I defrost them in the fridge the night before, then I want to use the following day. Once they are totally defrosted, I place them on the hob and add a little water, and so that they loosen up, and just gently reheat them, and they're just the same. And also you might want to add a little olive oil, which I'm going to do again here, and it's really good because you cook it once and you enjoy across many different times. And if you want to be really strategic, do what I do. I have got the water left over here. Once this has totally cooled down, I will put it inside the containers to make ice cubes, and then I'll freeze it alongside my greens and potatoes. And when I defrost it, I will use that instead of water, so it's got all of the flavor. A little tip for you. I'm going to see if I can pick a bit of everything: potato, tomato and green bean. It's honestly delicious. Actually, I find that once it's cooled down a little, it tastes even better. Food when it's really hot, your palate screams. Delicious. Honestly, if you make it, you will love it. And very simple, very affordable, especially at this time of the year. Let me know if you do. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Good morning. I'm actually out, picking some green beans, or French beans as we call them in the UK. I've actually got these little dwarf plants here in my border. They grow really easily and in abundance once you get them going. I quite like these little dwarf plants. They're quite easy to manage and see what you've got. And all you do is pop a seed in the spring. I think I've put these in, hang on, I've got the French beans, 13th of May. I actually started to grow mine, and I started them off in the greenhouse in individual little pots. Then when they get to a reasonable size, you pop them out in the garden and then they go for it. The idea behind that is that you get them established so the slugs don't eat them when they're tiny little bits. But I have in fact done some more over that bit in my more shady spot, and I've literally just popped the seeds all in. The idea is that I'll get a bit of a succession and they'll carry on producing all the way through the summer, fingers crossed. And these are just the taller version. As you say, you need nice tall stalks or poles to get them to grow up, and then they will all start to fruit. Oh look, there's one there that you can see, a tiny one, but it needs to fill out. They need
come
more
a little
water.
bit closer.
As you can see, they're, can you see them? They're only tiny little things.
Little ones,
they're starting to grow, because the idea is the flowers come, then they turn into the fruits or the beans, and then the beans come. Lots of people are having trouble in the UK at the moment because we haven't really got enough moisture, but there we go. What can you do? We keep trying. As you can see, I've actually dug up some potatoes already, because he's going to do a dish today with potatoes, French or green beans, and then tomatoes, I believe you said, didn't you?
Yep.
And it's a typical southern Italian summer dish, or early spring summer dish. He could, if he wanted, put in some of my runner beans. They're a slightly different type, and as you can see, they're growing quite nicely, but I think you probably want to just stick to green beans, don't you, darling? So yeah, we'll leave them for another day. They'll bulk out a little bit more, but they're coming on nicely, look. But yeah, that's it for me then. Enjoy.